everyone, and welcome to the SoCal Summer Swing Out podcast. And do we have a treat for you? So today we are joined by the lovely Lisa Sutherland. Hello, friend.
Hey, Fred.
I am so glad that we finally able to put this on the calendar. Thank you so much for your flexibility. Like, dear God, you are phenomenal.
Third strike. We did not strike out. Third time's
Nope.
a charm.
This one's it. Oh man, it is good to see you.
It is good to see your face as well. You've been having like a lot of fun. I've been seeing all the travels. You've been clearly in somewhere in Central America. I think right over the border swimming.
Mm-hmm.
So jealousy.
I was in Cancun. It was June's a crazy birthday month for me. But but you also had a good time too, because you recently saw your father, didn't you?
I did. I didn't mean to plan it for Father's Day. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, that's so sweet." I'm like, "No, we both forgot. I just had a chunk. I was feeling really emotionally and physically burnt out on like dance, work, life, everything. And I was like I got a little frenetic, and I was just like, "Oh my God, why is everything annoying me? Why am I so mad about everything?" And I was like, I need to go home. I need to go home for a minute.
Like a little reset.
So I went and saw my dad and like all my brothers and sisters. So that was nice.
I know. We'll talk a bit more about like dance burnout and just like the struggles of dance as an individuality. But before then, for people who don't know who you are, why don't you give us a quick intro of you as well as like how you started dancing?
Sure. So hi. My name's Annalisa. Jesus, who am I? Who am I? Existential dread hits. So I'm a dancer. I live obviously of dance styles. I live in Seattle presently, but I'm from California, born and raised my whole life, and honestly spent most of my life dancing there. I do Lindy Hop primarily as my main like bread and butter. That's the one I sunk all my time into. But I've recently been doing more Balboa, and there's a whole thing with that. I obviously do solo jazz. I'm learning how to do whacking, which is a lot of fun for those of you who follow street dances. I got to Lindy Hop via competitive ballroom. So
yes,
in the dusty closet, I've got like samba, bachata, salsa, rumba medals that I'm just like never look at ever again. But I like to occasionally just be like, haha. Yes, it's some small heels. But like, so I do that. I travel to perform. I travel to teach. I travel to compete for myself as well as just, I like to do it. And that's pretty much, I think. I'm not very great at the self-summary things, but that's it. I'm a creative creator. And
that you are.
I like to spend my time just kind of spreading my creative little fingers into every pie.
Now, everything you said there are a bunch of different directions that we could go. I think that what I want to what I want to touch slightly on is the ballroom thing though, because you are a champion ballroom dancer. Like you have won things in ballroom.
It was bad. So I come from a family where there's a lot of kids, so you have to have an after school activity, something to keep you like busy, because your parents are working. You can't just go home. You got to have something that you do till like you get picked up. And I was terrible at many sports because I just hate anything that involves a ball. I'm like, why? So I ended up doing dance, and my family were like, "Oh, she's really good at it. She really seems to like it. She really took to it." And so the only one that was like around in my town at the time was like ballroom. Like very much, if anyone's seen that movie Strictly Ballroom, and maybe they haven't, that's a niche movie that I adore.
Yeah, yes, I've seen it. It's so good.
I love that movie. So that was like my dance life for a long time, from when I was like 12 to 18, was just like the ridiculous costumes, the tiny heels, the really slow, expressive hands, like the seriousness of the dance. And so I did that from when I was 12 to about 18. And so I specialized in Latin dances, just because everyone was like, "You should do Latin." A little bit of racism there. They're like, "You're brown, do Latin dances." But also, I'm also not very tall. So I was not entirely unopposed to be like, "Yeah, I can't really walk very well." I can. It's just like for competition purposes, it's a lot different, and it just I didn't have
Mhm.
that wingspan on my legs to be like, "Ah, yes, gracefulness." But yeah, I did I did it for a while,
Mhm.
and I got into Lindy Hop accidentally because of ballroom dancing.
That's the other thing I was going to ask is like, because you in our last conversation, you mentioned you stumbled on it, from someone you saw, right?
It did. So, I was living in Sacramento, California, and there
Mhm.
was a, ballroom studio called Spotlight. And every so often, like this is pretty common for a lot of dance studios. They do like, the open class day where they make it free to the community, try to get more people in. And you could take
Mhm.
all the classes in like a whole weekend. You could take one salsa, one this, and an intro level for everything. So
Yeah.
it was pretty common when that happened that the studio was like pretty full during the day. And if I was one of the dancers who were on the competitive track, so I was there during the day, obviously training my ass off.
Mhm.
And like so I was like in a different separate studio, and one of the students who came in to do like some of the beginner Latin classes from my instructor was Lindy hopping in the corner with her friend. Like those two had come together and were like, we're gonna have. They were like two femmes in the corner just killing like, and they were leading and following with each other, and they were just dancing in the corner. And I was like, this, what are you doing? Like, what is that? And they were like, well, we saw you. It's I'm like, no, no, no. Other thing I was doing, whatever. Ugh. I do that all day. What are you doing specifically? Because they had put on a song too. I think they put on
Mhm.
something by Count Basie. I don't remember at the time.
Mhm.
And that was very familiar music to me because of my grandmother and my great grandmother. So I was like, oh, I love listening to this with them. I listen to this with them all the time. But you're dancing to it. What are you doing? And they're like, this is called Lindy Hop. And they were like, yeah, they have it downtown in the old town district. You can come down. It's go ahead. Like very gateway drug, right? They're very like, it's fun. You'll enjoy
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Did. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go down and do that. Because I was like, that would be fun. And it was just like a light switch clicked in my head. I was like, this is so easy. And not easy like in a sense of simple, but like it
Yeah.
makes sense. Musically, rhythmically, body movement wise. I was like, this makes a lot of sense. I don't
Mhm.
realize why at the time, because I'm a kid. But something about this is clicking for me. And that was just like a
Mhm.
deep dive of, oh, how long have I been dancing now? Jesus. Since 19? Coming on
Since you
15.
were 19 or 18?
No, I'm coming on like 15 years now. I started about 19.
Dang. Gotcha.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
that was just like like a slide straight into Lindy Hop from there.
So this was in Sacramento.
Yep.
Do you know if they still do that, like that outdoor thing at all?
I know that it was called Midtown Stomp, and I think it has since closed and rebranded as like
Mm.
Spotlight Ball. It might have now be called Spotlight Ballroom. They might have like eaten
Oh?
the name, but then it's not the same area because it was the one that AJ Howard came up out of. He and I are both from Sacramento,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
right, I left like right before he started.
Damn. So Sacramento put out some damn good dancers, huh?
I mean, Sacramento goes hard.
Yeah, they do.
It's hot. There's
Paul.
not a lot to do. It's not a hot. It's hot.
Yeah, I have a friend Daisy who's out by Sac, and then Paul Writing recently
Yeah, Paul just
moved
moved. I saw that.
to Sacramento. So it looked okay. So Sacramento is where you once you did that, it clicked, and then did you start taking lessons from certain people, or how did you then like start growing into yourself as a dancer?
That so that one was like a little bit of a hodgepodge because like at the time I was really, really like, you got the bug when you like start Lindy Hop and you want to do all the things. You want to travel to all the things. And at the time it was, my family weren't very supportive of it.
Mm,
Uh, at least my mother wasn't at the time. So I had to like
mm-hmm,
kind of lie about doing
mm-hmm.
it. I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm going to a friend's house. I'm going to a friend's house. And I would be like driving to San Francisco to go to the 920 special. I'd be like, I'm staying with a friend. It's fine. Yeah, yeah. I was like lying. I was like lying to Lindy Hop about Lindy Hop, which to me, I was like, what the hell? It's the nerdiest thing ever when you saw it like club. Like this could be so much worse, but like I digress. So I took the group lessons, and at the time, I think I was a little too new to truly get a lot out of group lessons. Like I do get a lot more out of group lessons now,
Mm-hmm.
But at the time I was just taking those and trying to absorb as much as I could. And then I started doing I made friends with a couple of dancers who I didn't realize at the time were actually on the pro circuit of like, those instructors who travel and stuff. But it
Uh-huh.
was her name was Kelly Wilkerson.
Mhm.
And I don't remember why she was in Sacramento, but she was someone who I became very close with. Like we got along
Mhm.
really well. We were like big sister, little sister. And
Mhm.
Kelly and Matt Ritchie were the two who like absorbed me because it was like the people who like ran the ballroom had their own little inner club, and I wasn't kind
Mhm.
of very like it's very much back where people were like, this is how you should dance, you're a heavy follow, you
Mhm.
need to like wear like the victory rolls, which like you need to dance a
Mhm.
certain way. And Kelly and Matt were
Mhm.
like, shh, it's okay, you're different but you can do this, kid. And so some of my earliest private lessons were like, because we didn't have floor space. So like Matt Ritchie taught me in a hallway between the bathroom and like the boiler room. Like we would dance in like the downstairs hallway with all the pipes and stuff.
Wow.
You swivel on a wall to learn how to swivel the first time. You'd be like, now swivel on the wall, pick your feet up. And he would just keep yelling at me. And but like in a very supportive way, like a very much like, you got
Mhm.
this, keep
Mhm.
going. And I
Oh,
couldn't even
that's
afford it
yeah.
at the time. I had to pay him in like cupcakes and pie. And I wasn't very good
Uh-huh.
at the baker yet, so he like really took a hit for the cause.
Matt Ritchie is a phenomenal human that we in SoCal are very, very lucky to have.
And then at that point, it kind of like ballooned out from there. Like I was, because Kelly was at the time, she was like retiring as a pro, but she knew a lot of people who I had no idea who any of these people were. Did
Right.
not. So I met people early on and started like getting privates from them and learning from them. And it was like Joe Hofberg, Nina Gilkinson, Michael Foltasek, John Tigert, Jenna Applegarth. A lot of
Hmm.
people who like I just were like, oh, these people are so nice. What a bunch of weirdos. I love it. What a bunch of quirky humans. And then later I'm learning about them. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
kind of
hello.
to this thing.
That's funny.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So that was like I kind of started just like I took what was already a honed dance ability that I had from Latin ballroom, and I was just like absorbing from these people I was being exposed to.
Hmm. Hmm. And it, like, first of all, John Tiger, like, he was the first person I saw swing out when I was in college, and so I was like, I want to do that. And he is a special human in our community.
He's a wonderful
um,
boy.
With speaking of like people in the community, I know that the Lindy Hop community can be, um, everyone can pretty much like look the same, but now I feel like there is a growth in a lot of different people and a lot of different, just a lot of different. I would call it. I don't even know if this is right thing to say. Different flavor in the people that that dance. And so I know that you are a Black queer femme and you do Lindy Hop and Balboa. So I imagine learning how to dance in one environment and then being who you are where you are now, there might have been a stark difference. So walk me through how like what it's like to be a Black queer femme Lindy Hopper or swing dancer in general.
I mean, I'll do my best. It's a hard one because like I was already kind of alluding to when I started, and still that there remains to this day this pressure around like Balboa and Lindy Hop of like it's very straight, it's very white, it's very
Mm-hmm.
I'd almost want to say it's very conservative in its own way because it's like
Mm-hmm.
we're just like, obsessed with the idea of like if you listen to all of our music and jazz, it's all about like certain topics, and you're like, yet it's so at the same time, it's like it's very like only certain flavors of that can be expressed, like the sassy follow. Only has
Mm-hmm.
a certain
Mm-hmm.
flavor of sassy though, not too like not too different. Well, I won't
Yeah.
say like a sassy white woman. Like yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Victory rolls. Yeah.
yeah, or not Victor Rolls. Nowadays they're a little bit more like modern, right? They got boots on, they got pants,
Yeah. Yeah.
they got boots and pants.
Mm-hmm.
But so being myself early on was a lot very hard because like there's that pressure to conform. Of, like you're told you're heavy, you're told you're doing certain things wrong, like you have to dress a certain way, you have to act a certain way. Your dancing is too athletic, too aggressive, too when you do something that you're not following properly, you're not like doing what the lead told you to do. And so all of that was kind of hard, especially as like I was growing into myself as a black queer femme of like being too much. There's like only it felt like a lot of times there's only so much that's allowed of the follow. And as we get
Mm,
more and more like progressive as a scene, we're still only being like, oh, you can have more, but still only this much. Still
mhm,
only this
mhm,
much. And
mhm,
that's something that's like really hard to deal with on like a daily basis because like now at a certain point, like I could turn on like to me, I joke around like of the autocomplete brain and like you can autocomplete and make a dance look pretty damn good with about anybody if you've been doing it long enough. But like
mhm,
there's moments where you're like, well, I really want to like have a conversation with this person. I'm gonna like try stuff and I'm gonna purposely fail. I'm gonna try stuff and I'm gonna realize that my nails today are not working with how I'm dancing today. That's a problem. That has happened to me. I've broken a nail literally in a swing out and been like,
ah, damn.
you know better. But it's also part of who I am to like have a certain like I address a certain way because I want to. I dress a certain way because it expresses who I am. So I have to learn to
Mhm,
adapt to these things about myself and shape my dancing, how I hold my hands, everything about around how I choose to present myself. And so it
mhm,
kind of goes from inward outward. It's like the values that I have, the things that I value in dancing, the things I value about my own identity as a black femme queer. Those things I have to kind of like I start to paint all of my dancing with that. I've got the
mm,
skills now, and I've got the abilities, and I can. I've got like the inner voice that's connected to music and trying to understand how I want to express it, and how I want to express it is coming through that lens.
yeah,
So it's kind of a constant struggle against like being told no or trying to. I almost feel like I'm always constantly trying to change someone's mind.
mm,
Constantly
mm,
trying to change somebody's mind, whether it's the scene, whether it's a lead I have, whether it's a friend I'm solo jazz dancing with, whether it's a I'm just always kind of low key trying to change someone's mind and show them that my voice and the way I'm doing this adds to this dance and it adds to the experience and it adds to the music and it adds to the song that's being played by the band. It adds to all of it.
mhm,
So that's
mhm,
kind of how it feels. It kind of feels like you're always trying to like to sell somebody on it.
mhm,
I
mhm.
was like, it works. Don't just I know you're scared. I know you're scared. It works. Trust me.
I uh I don't think anyone's ever like put that in such true words that you always feel as a follower that you're trying to change someone's mind, right? And I can imagine that that's hard when your values are very expressionful. Actually, let me just ask, if you were to like state your values to anyone listening here, what do you think your dance values are that you keep trying to have a conversation with someone and say, "Hey, I have something to say," you know?
Well, that's a hard one. I would say to vocalize it. I really number one, I value this dance.
Mm,
Its
mhm.
history, its roots, its connection to the music to me is one of the
Mm,
biggest things.
mm,
I really think of it like I want to I want to be myself and showcase my love and respect and creation with the music and a fellow person. Because what I'm doing when I step up to dance with somebody is I'm saying, this is what I value. This is what I am about. This is what I like to do, what I like to create. I want to know what you want to like to do and you like to create. And then
mhm,
together, we are going to hear this amazing song that's steeped in history, is amazing that's steeped in like parts of jazz. I'm not a jazz musician that I they can go into it deeply on how important certain elements of the song are and why they're
mhm,
there and how they're there. And this is why they've chosen to show it to us this way.
mm,
And I'm basically taking all my partners ready to present, all I'm ready to present. Together we're going to present something beautiful to this music with this dance, which has its own history of all of that. So we're using ourselves as like conduits through which to channel all of these things and to showcase something. It's like a prism. We're shining
yeah.
all these things through us and creating a light.
That was that was a fucking clip right there. That was amazing the way he
That's what it
described
is.
that.
We're taking it in and we're like, this is the rainbow. Like,
How if you so I'm curious, how did you come up with that? Like how did that come about, like that realizing that's what your values were, that's what you wanted to do, or was that just already within you?
Oh, it took time because obviously, like when you start in dance, there's a million different ways you can go. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of time people assume that the only thing that is valuable in this dance are like competitors, the ones who win competitions, which some of my friends who are the best competitors in the world, and I respect the hell out of them. I know I'm never gonna get to the level of like Nils and Bianca. I adore them. I
Mm-hmm.
love dancing with them. I love watching them. I love everything. But that's not what I've focused on. And so it took a while to be. I still love to compete. Don't get me wrong. I will throw down
Mm-hmm.
and cut out with the best of them. But it's like, okay, what makes me happy? What brings me joy in this above and beyond? And I think sometimes our scene gets too like focused in on this is what it's got to be. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
teach, therefore you're a good teacher. If you teach, therefore you're a good performer. If you perform, therefore you're a good social dancer. And it's like those things are all different elements of this dance. They're not like
Mm-hmm.
just they're not the end all be all. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
as I did them all, I started to learn which ones resonated with me harder.
Mm-hmm.
And then taking those values, because like again, I think those values were put into me from a very wide eclectic family,
Mm-hmm.
like a million different like types of people, a million different types of like voices, and channeling them into like one thing.
Mm.
That's always kind of been in me. And so experimentation and finding what I liked to do in the dance really hard, and then taking that natural or inherent learned ability I had to be like, let's take all these things and make it and showcase a thing. In case
Yeah.
you wonder, I'm the eldest of seven. That's why.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Looking at a lot of
No,
things.
yeah, and no wonder you can break things down in an understandable way. 'Cause that was very eloquent,
Oh,
might I
thank you.
say.
Sometimes I feel like I ramble. If I ever just go off on a tangent, be like, I'm
Oh, no,
back.
no,
Come
no. That's the entire point because then you say what's like truly, this may sound a little like, I don't know if woo is the right word, but you say what's in your
artsy
heart.
fartsy. Artsy fartsy.
Artsy fartsy. Yeah, you just say what's there. And to me, I feel like that's the rawest, that it's kind of like the raw element
The
of just,
juice. It's the
yeah.
essence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like when you were talking about how dancing just clicked for you, that resonated with me, and I imagine that's going to resonate with a lot of our listeners. Some of our listeners who I hope may be Black, queer, femme, or any other marginalized community listening to the podcast, they may say, "Oh, well, yeah, swing dancing just clicked for me," and maybe the way you described it was a way for them to fully understand. Yeah, that's how I feel. You know.
Ooh, maybe. Haha, the ramblings paid off.
It has. Um, I did want to go a bit more into like your dance journey, right? Because you went from Sacramento and then you moved to a couple different places, correct? And you danced in all those scenes.
Well, I spent a lot of time dancing in Sacramento, California, properly
Mm-hmm.
because in Sacramento I was driving to San Francisco. I told you I was like lying and driving to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I was lying and driving to LA,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that I had to put on pause for like 2 years while I finished. I moved away to college and I got my
Mm-hmm.
degree. I went to Santa Cruz,
Mm-hmm.
beach girl for life. But there's not really dancing in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
There might be now, I don't know. But at the time when I was there, nada. And I didn't have a car because my mom had figured out I was doing all this dance stuff. And so when I went away to college, she took my car.
Oh no.
She was like, ha ha ha, I'll strand you on the other side of the mountains near the coast. And I was like, damn it, she got me. She caught me. But so I had to put it on break for 2 years. And then I
Mm-hmm.
moved to San Francisco and I started
Mm.
back up. And in San Francisco, I was dancing yeah, basically at 920 special, which rip. I'm so sad it's
Rip,
closing.
rip.
Rip. Some of my I think my first competition ever was at 920 special.
Oh snap.
Ever. With Matt Ritchie. I won. We did like a little pro-am. And there's a picture of us
Nice.
we look like babies. Oh my God. I was like, dang, dude. And we were adults. I'm like, wow, what's going on there? He's like, I don't know. Not ask questions. But so I was dancing there, Jazzberry Jam, which I don't think was around anymore. It was being run by Anne Monet and Ryan Calloway at the time.
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, 920 got Jazzberry Jam, and then I moved to Seattle.
which is where you are
Yeah,
now.
and it's really funny because I actually people are like, it doesn't seem like a lot of cities, but I this whole time while I was doing this, I was traveling obsessively, and I still have been.
Hmm.
People forget that I'm from Seattle, that not from, but I live in Seattle. They're like, "Oh, I assumed you lived in New York, or I assumed you lived in LA," and I'm like, "Ha ha ha, maybe. Who knows?" For a while, I had people believing I lived in Denver because I was coaching a team out there. Because I was there every other weekend, and they're like, "So you live here?" I'm like, "Still no."
Well, if you ever want to move back down to LA, like we're so down for that. Just saying.
And I would love. I almost moved to LA before I was
Oh,
in Seattle, and I went north instead of south.
I mean, Seattle throws down. Those Seattle dancers, they go hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they really do. Especially
I want to
Balboa.
talk.
They're crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Especially in Balboa. It's kind of nuts. I actually want to talk to you about your Balboa here in a little bit. So the reason why I wanted to talk about Balboa is because you pop off, yo. Like,
If you say that, they're gonna make me go up out of amateur level. I still gotta win one. I gotta win
really?
one. Yeah, I don't think I've. I don't. I have odd fact. So, Lindy Hop related, real quick. I have finaled in every single time I've ever done the amateur mix and match at Camp Hollywood. I have finaled
Mhm.
7 times. I have never podiumed. I've
Ever?
I've taught at Camp Hollywood now. So I disqualified myself because I was gonna go back in an amateur again, and Hillary Alexander was like, "No, ma'am." So dang it! But no, I've never got the medal. Never have. So I always find that kind of
Dang.
a little bit funny. It's like one of my little like side jokes now, and I'm like wondering if it'll happen in Balboa as well. If I just like kind of could squeak that through and like never ever quite get promoted.
Mm.
But yeah, no, Balboa is a funny one for me nowadays. You were saying, go ahead, ask your questions.
Well, I was just curious because I remember seeing you and Bobby do Balboa at Lindy Focus, which by the way was fucking amazing.
Yes, excellent. It's my propaganda scheme is working. I have a propaganda scheme to convince Balboa dancers to dance with me more because
Uh,
they kind of weird about it. So
mm.
what I've been doing is I've been taking my really good Balboa friends and making them like just stand with me and be like, "Come here, come here, come here." So that's what that was with Bobby. It was a propaganda push to be like, "Look," and it's working.
Mm. Well, good, because they deserve to dance with you. Like you're phenomenal. Speaking of dancing with you, I've danced with you, and that dance, whew, that was good.
I never danced with you at all, and I was gonna go to bed that night at Lindy Focus. I was exhausted.
I remember.
Oh, but I really want to dance with this guy. I've seen him dance. It looks good. And it was like I knew it was gonna be good. Dang it. But no, it's the same kind of vibe of like that sleeper agent where I'm like, bet you this dance is really gonna be good.
Nah.
Should do it. And that's how it feels for me in Balboa a lot of times. Because like
Hmm.
I learned my first Balboa shuffle step from D Matthews
Uh-huh.
ages ago in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Hmm.
I'm not doing this. This is crazy. I've seen you all. You dance like this and you look like you're stiff. And they were
Hmm.
like, no, 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 no. That's not how it works. Trust me, it can be good. It can be really
Hmm.
good. And I was like, all right, I'll try. And then of course, like D cheated. D like threw me at the creme of the crop of Balboa
Uh-huh.
dance. Like they threw me at Bobby, Mickey. They threw me at Corey Mankey. It was like only let me dance with like really phenomenal Balboa leads. And I was like,
Hmm.
God, this feels so good.
Uh-huh.
It's so chill. My
Yeah.
favorite thing, one of my favorite things I like to emphasize in my Lindy Hop is I like to look like it's no big deal.
Mm-mm.
Who like go hard, look hard, and throw down, and I love those looks too. I like to look like I could just be strolling, even if I'm going really fast. I like to look like I'm just like, hmm. And so Balboa is like that. You can just look so effortless, and it also connected back a little bit to my Latin dance roots because it's very similar to
Uh,
rumba. And I was
mm.
like, ooh, this feels good. Mm. And so I started doing it a lot more as well, like alongside my Lindy Hop. And I'm from California, so Balboa's always been around. It's not like it's a
Yeah,
different. It's like you just that's what it is. Always.
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I feel you on some of that because when it comes to Balboa, I only started doing Balboa like for real when I moved to California. I sometimes feel like outsider or imposter syndrome that because I'm a Lindy Hopper, you know? And
Same.
then yeah, 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 yeah. And so like how was your experience being like an outsider or feeling that imposter syndrome when it comes to not just Balboa, but like any of the like swing dance.
I still feel that keenly in Balboa and also in Lindy Hop right now for different reasons. Balboa, I still feel it like every time I step out on the floor. Like I recently was at New York Bow Week and I did a
Mhm,
performance with by Isabella. She had put together a
mhm.
routine for a bunch of phenomenal bow follows, and I felt like a fish with birds the entire time. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on? And it's all in me. Like they were super supportive, and it was a great like we had a great time. But it's always kind of floats around in my mind that I'm constantly battling imposter syndrome in Balboa versus look versus it's dare I say it's even wider than Lindy Hop. Hard to say, but like
Oh, there you go. I couldn't hear you for a quick second, but you're
oh,
back.
okay, okay. But like it's even wider almost sometimes than Lindy Hop. And it's like there's like that moment of like I have to relearn the things I learned in Lindy Hop. I thought they
Mm,
would transfer. And I think maybe I'm a little bit ahead for Balboa of learning like how to keep my own voice, my own presentation, how I present, how I show up. I have to like redo it. And it's not relearning, it's more like being brave enough to do it in Balboa. And I have it.
mhm,
And I know I can be that way because I am that way in Lindy Hop where I'm like, je ne sais quoi. Here we go. We're gonna do it.
mhm, mhm.
And I just gotta do it in Balboa now. But because my Balboa is so newer to me, it feels like a little more tender, like a little bird egg. I'm just trying to like keep it okay. I'm like, you're okay. You're gonna do great.
Mm,
Feels that
mhm,
way a lot of times when I'm around. And I have a lot of friends in Balboa who are very supportive and like constantly gassing me up.
mm.
Jen Lee is like Balboa mom to the utmost degree. She was at Camp Hollywood for my first Balboa comp. She was on the floor in rollers in her little tracksuit with her phone out, like goes, getting ready for her invitational later. And she's like, here we go. And I was just like, oh my God, Jen. It felt very much like my mom had showed up with like a camcorder. She's like, I got you. So
Aw.
and Lauren Smith and Peter Flahiff are also wonderfully supportive. Like they are constantly just my my champions when it comes to, and I have a ton of them. I could say Bobby, I could say Mickey. They all in their own way are like trying to keep me engaged.
Mm,
Gisomo
mhm,
does a lot to keep me engaged,
mm,
a lot. But
mm,
there's like a small team rooting for me to do Balboa, and that's why I keep at it, even though the imposter syndrome's there. For Lindy Hop, the imposter syndrome now is really it's a bullshit thing because number one, they don't exist really these levels, but they also kind of exist tangibly. But
mhm,
people apparently have like elevated me to a new level where I'm
mm,
like I'm not allowed to do certain comps anymore. Now I'm judging. Now I'm teaching and traveling. I'm at events, and I'm like, oh, and because people are telling me they're like, no, you're a pro, and I'm like, no, I'm not. You're a pro, and I'm like, no, I'm not. And now I'm starting to actually have to believe that maybe I either am or I am now becoming one
mhm.
because and that's something that speaks to my imposter syndrome. If Latasha heard me say that, she would probably uh, have very loud, encouraging words for me. But it's the idea that like now I'm with all my teachers,
Mhm,
I'm with all of my teachers.
mhm.
Like there's nothing. Every single time I do like a comp and I'm in a jet like a mix and match, and I look down the lineup and it's all of my teachers, it feels so weird. I'm
Mm.
like low key cry. I'm like, what's happening?
Aw.
How did I get
Well,
here?
damn. I mean, you hella deserve to. You put in work.
Well, and it's hard because like you see people who who are like still so many leagues above me to my mind, who I
Mm,
love and I seek inspiration from them. And it's weird
mhm.
to now hear that some people viewed that me as that. Like I have people come up to me after classes and be like, "I saw you dancing so and so. I was so inspired by your performance." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." What do I do?
Yeah. So, it sounds like with the imposter syndrome and, like, feeling an outsider, you still had, like, a really strong support system of people that lifted you up and kept you, just, like, lifted you up, essentially, right?
Yeah, that's really been a very big thing because like a lot of event, it happens at every dance. If you don't think it happens, it does. We're like follows of color sit down a lot. We don't get asked to dance as much. We like it doesn't matter how good you are. It happens across the board. And so a lot of times that will get to me at weekend events where I'm just like, I'm just gonna go to bed.
Mm,
I'm done. I don't know why I'm even like I haven't danced. I've danced like 3 songs, and it's already the second set's ending. I'm like, dang, is that me? No. And it's like you have those little support networks, and I find those people, my friends, and they'll be like, "No, stand with me, just even if you're just sitting," or they'll be like, "Oh," they'll like, grab somebody physically, be like, "So and so, dance with her." Like it's like having those support networks, and I could name like lists of people who are like my support networks because they're just so powerful. In Lindy Hop, it's a
mhm,
lot of my fellow Black followers, Latasha, Shanna, just those two are like whenever I'm with them, I feel like lifted up on like literal on shoulders, like I can't fall down, even though they're both shorter than me.
mm,
I feel like I'm being like lifted up from so far down. Those and just like in Balboa, it's the same. At Chisomo, one of my good friends, Kendra Dandy, if you don't know her, who's a follower who gets slept on a lot. For those of you
mm,
listening, that's with Kendra all the time. He will blow your mind. But like these are all people, and then these are just all people who just understand the similar situation that I'm in, and they support me through that. And then when it comes
mhm,
outside of that, you get the second level of support, which is people who don't understand. They won't ever live that experience, right?
mhm,
But Bobby
mhm,
White will never know that for me. But he also will do his best to make sure I don't feel that way or try to.
mm.
And there's like a lot of people like that. And I could name them off all day and just spend an hour listening to like friends who have made me feel less small at events. And a lot of times that's all I really want nowadays when I'm at an event, even if I'm not. Even if at the end of the night, it's like, didn't place, whatever. Did your performance went well? Had your dinner. Now you're kind of winding down on a Sunday. All I
Mhm.
want to help be is like someone who makes the room more fun for others, who makes you want to stay there. And it's one of those things I tell other people who like are newer friends to me. I'm like, you can come stand near me. If you feel lonely, just come stand near me. If you feel like you had a bad thing happen, come talk to me about it. I might make you buy me a drink, but like also I might make just be like, okay, let's just sit in the corner if you're in a bed. Like I want you to feel like you have people to talk to when you're there that you
Mm.
see and you don't feel so alone. Because I've felt a lot of that on the floor of being like alone in a crowd. And then I find that face, that friend face, like that support network face, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Let me go stand near them, even if they seem busy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's so that is so thoughtful and considerate of you to do that for other people since people have done that for you because I know there are some people in the swing dancing right now who they feel that they feel so alone and they feel like they don't have those people, which my hope is that this podcast for anyone listening, they'll hear that there are people like that that exist, especially people of color. And so Jen Wang, one of my friends here in SoCal,
Mm-hmm.
she like challenged me and she helped me realize that there was so much more that I could do to dance with more people of color and people of just different body types in general. And I'm grateful for friends like that who just tell me that kind of stuff straight up, you know. And my hope is that what you're saying resonates with other people and maybe even other people who are in teaching and leadership roles that it's good for those people to have those spaces and to be those faces, you know?
And I know that there's like a lot that goes into like as far as like I try to do the same like you said. I could be doing better, and I often try to like bust up my friends who are accidentally clicky. Like my friends who are
Uh-huh.
like my co-leads who just are swamped all night. And I'm like, you know what you could do? I know you're really busy, but like, let's be real. Have you danced with so and so? And they're like, no. Like some of my friends I have known for ages, and I never danced with them. I knew Nils for like 5 years, and I had never danced with him.
Uh,
Swamped. He was like, I never get the chance. And then he's like, I'm gonna make the chance. We're gonna have this happen. And then we like blew the doors off of 6 songs in a row.
Hey.
Israel was another one who had that happen to. Like always long conversations, never got to dance with each other. And then we're like, okay, this is going on long enough. And it's like I want to remind my friends, like, hey, I know you're in your world, I know you're doing your thing. I know you're like a popular lead on the floor, especially at Balboa events where there's like not way more follows than there are leads. I'm like, I
Hmm.
know you're in your vibe, but maybe decline a dance, take one of your dances, and go dance with somebody else.
Mm, hmm.
Dance with, you dance with your friends all the time. You can dance with. I'll find you later in the night. Take my dance, give it to somebody who might not ever get to dance, who has to sit
Right.
down more than I do because I have a certain level of like appearance that people will be like, oh, I can give her a dance. I know her. She's good. Like it. I know we don't try to be clicky, but like it happens. And so more
Hmm.
the more we can like wrench those open and make people feel less alone is really important.
I fully agree. So for any listeners listening, I would suggest that you go check out Nick's from Philly's podcast. He talks a lot about breaking up that click. And Demetrio's podcast with Taylor actually towards the end he brings up like some really good points. So that's definitely something that I would suggest you all check out. Now, that being said, oh go ahead. Did you want to add
No,
something
I was
else?
just like, yeah, agreed.
I mean, on the topic of like dance community and clickiness and stuff, I was curious. So you're in a special position where you are now, yeah, because you are now like judging and you are teaching and you see the Lindy Hop world from the point of view of a leader, right? Of like the scene. And so I was curious, what are some things that you've seen the professional instructors or the people who are quote unquote high up there, what are some positive things you've seen them do for the community?
Um,
I didn't prep you for that, my bad.
no, but I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, hold on, take the moment. Good thing about ADHD is your brain races fast.
Uh,
Some good things I've seen. We'll start like organizer level. I've seen attempts at events to be a lot more inclusive of communities, especially communities that cannot afford the luxury of traveling to dance.
mm-hmm,
Laura Key, I think, particularly does this really well for like Cowbow and even just this recent event that I'm heading to, Baldorado. She's always been very good at like trying to find ways to make it affordable, find ways to get people involved who might not be able to do so, and apart from just working, because just volunteering, I've been that volunteer at Camp Hollywood for many years. I told you I once upon a time was not being supported, so I had to do a lot of swindling to get to a lot of events. I have
mm-hmm,
slept in a bathtub instead of a bed because I just was like, I need a place to stay. I don't care. I'll put pillows in a bathtub.
mm,
But so on an organizer level, I've seen a lot of good intent and efforts made to like get different get different people on the floor, especially those who might not otherwise have access. Also in their teaching lineup, they're starting to ask questions, and I want them to ask more questions about like, who am I hiring? Are there any black instructors? Are there any queer instructors? Am I defaulting to the preferred method of only one black teaching couple? You know, we teach with other people, right? Like a lot. We
mm-hmm,
can. We don't have to teach with just each other. It's a little weird.
mm-hmm,
And then also like we don't have to just make the two queer teachers teach. Like you can mix. I like to see this, especially Lindy Focus did this recently, where like this last year the teaching staff was staffed by D Daniels, and D had tons of fun combinations of instructors, lots of different combinations. Sometimes people who hadn't taught that much together, and who were getting
mm-hmm,
fresh ideas out of each other, and that was a lot of fun to see. So organizers could do more of this, hire more than one couple of each diverse one, bring in lots, and from a teaching professional perspective, one thing I'm seeing a lot of that I like is that you are starting to see some of not the OGs because there's even more OGs, but like the generation of like Laura Keat, Jeremy Oth, uh, John Tigert. You're starting to see them teach with people from the next generation down. Like I
mm,
taught with John. Laura Keat's teaching this weekend with Jonathan Ing. We're starting to see some. It's almost like a mentoring program, I want to say, into like the next level of like, the pros. But like we're starting to see these people who have all this good knowledge couple up with someone else who's newer in the teaching
Hmm.
world, but also has like good things to bring.
Hmm.
They're presenting new and fresh ideas in that dynamic, and I'm seeing it a lot more with follows. The professional follows like Joe Hoffberg and them are bringing up leaders. I want to see a lot more from the leads. I'm not gonna lie, the pro leads. Like y'all could be doing just a little bit more of teaching with people who aren't just your original OG partners. I get it. You guys got a thing going. But like I
Hmm.
like seeing that dynamic. I like seeing like this generational mix between teaching and performing professionals, even for like stuff that just like showcases.
Yeah.
It's like it's like watching fresh ideas being born with each other, and it's really cool.
Hmm.
So I'm starting to
Hmm.
see that happen as far as like trying to bring in more diverse voices,
Mm.
and I really like that.
That's that's really, really cool. I like that. I have noticed like throughout the years that there's been an uptick in that, which is one of the reasons why my event invitational is going to be a very special one. So, for my event that's happening around this time next year, I am going to have an invitational, and it is going to be a very special invitational. And I don't, who knows, maybe another event will have something similar before I get to do it. But I'm gonna just say that for now. I'll tell you what it is after we finish
Okay,
recording.
okay.
But
You guys can't get any spoilers. You got to go to the event and find out.
that's right. And so I think that's so cool that we're seeing a lot of that because for me, I know that when I see Andrew Jose, Mikey Pedroza, or Tydrick even, like and Tydrick's relatively new,
Yeah,
you know?
he's a newer generation.
Yeah. Like when I see people like that, especially when I look at like Mikey and Andrew, I'm like, dude, there's a short brown man with curlyish hair that kind of looks like me, and they are throwing down, you know? And when I took a private with Andrew and Mikey, I realized, okay, I understand why. And it resonated with me so much. So I'm sure any other person of color who's like learning to swing dance now, they see you, they see all these other instructors that are teaching with the OG instructors. I'm sure that gives them a sense of, dare I even say like safety and peace and inspiration even?
I mean, that was how I felt the first time I ever saw my first black follow. That was Andrea
Mm,
Gordon. I had never met a single black follow in like where I was in Sacramento, anywhere else. And then I
mm.
saw Andrea dancing, and Andrea was it is a powerhouse to me. Where I was just like, oh my god, oh my god. I've since learned I met so many more beautiful, wonderful dancers who are similar to me. But at the time, like I was just blown away, and I like the idea of like keeping this ball rolling and this access of like not just like competing or teaching, like performing with, even if it's just like they made a
Yeah,
show together and they put it on TikTok or they performed it at Lindy Focus. That's still so cool because we're seeing
yeah.
these combinations of talented people that we usually wouldn't like. We're getting away from the idea that like yes, we know you have somebody who you usually work with, but that doesn't have to be like the end all be all. That you
Hmm.
get somebody you partner up and you're there like so very monogamous. Ugh. So very cis straight monogamous. I'm just saying. So it's nice to see like start to see that fluidity of like, oh my god, so and so created this total thing that was like nothing like a style I've seen them do before, or wow, that was really cool to see like so and so like collaborate with someone and create something new. And also we get to learn from each other. For those of us
Hmm.
who are like becoming scene leaders, it's important. You know, I come from a community where you learn from your elders,
Hmm.
and that is a form of learning to create with each other.
Hmm.
So it's a new way that they're teaching us.
Yeah, and I think it is it's a helpful way too because not to be like morbid or anything, but it's kind of like passing down the baton, right?
Yeah, they're not even leaving too. I like I joked. I think I said
Yeah.
like Nick Williams. I was like, you get to like enjoy now because now you're at the point where like you can throw down and take a trophy and kick an ass if you want, or you can chill and make something totally off the wall. No one's gonna get mad. Why? Because you're you. You've already
Hmm.
got a pile of trophies. You don't really. If you wanted to do some wackadoo cool new idea, okay, let's see it. Like, why not?
Uh-huh.
If you want to go by
Yeah.
generation, to go into your like eccentric old person era and just like make just do whatever you want.
Yeah. I'm. Yeah. Now my mind is just thinking of how a good amount of those trophies at Atomic are Nick's. Um, well, Nick, Mikey, and Nikki, sorry, and Shaysha. My bad.
I
Yeah,
was
I think
joking
we.
before we cut out that I should threaten Nick to do an off the walls routine with me. Although to be fair, he is a very fun individual. He probably wouldn't need much threatening.
I think we should. Actually, we're gonna make that the last thing. So if you stay to the end of the YouTube video, in the comments, put down Nick do a routine with Lisa Sutherland. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Oh no, I picked Nick Lloyd. Oh my god.
So that'll be it. Nick and Annalisa routine down in the comments if you stayed till the end. I know that there's a couple of people that stay to the very end. We have some diehard
Dear
listeners.
God. Just so you know, Nick, I didn't intend for this to happen. Your name was just the first thing in my head. I'm sorry, buddy.
um,
My bad.
Actually, this is a good place for us to kind of start winding down. But before I go into my last final questions, was there anything that you wanted to touch on that we haven't touched on yet during the entire conversation? Because we touched on a lot.
Oh my god, we have. I am a rambler of the highest order, and no, I think we've enjoyed had a great little fun conversation right here. I could honestly do these with you all day. We could just talk massive smack and be like, oh my god, all these things, especially because it's California based. I feel like because it's
Mm.
California based, it's very much it's like I don't even have to address the entire world because it's like very home. California has its
Mm.
own little ecosystem that I feel people like for dancing don't really realize.
Yeah,
We're a
yeah, yeah.
weird bunch. Even if I haven't lived there in 5 years, it's like it never leaves you.
No, 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 we don't. And you could always come back and live in LA. I'm just saying, you know.
Just saying. Just
That's my second pitch.
just just get yourself a little
Oh,
spot down in Santa Monica. Just to be cute.
yeah, and I mean, now that we're there, why not? Anyone who wants to move to SoCal, just let us know. We will welcome you with open arms. Anybody who's listening. Okay, so then with that in mind, we'll go into the last three questions of the podcast. So the first question is, seeing as you are traveling, you're teaching, maybe some people wanted to see like videos of you dancing or whatnot. Where can people find you online?
Okay. So online, I am on Instagram. I am under. Let me check because I know myself. I'm like, okay, okay. I got it. Don't you laugh, Andre. Don't you laugh.
Oh, oh,
Okay,
no laughs.
I'm under the bee's knees on Instagram, and you can very much see it's me when you look. If you just look up Annalisa Sutherland, you'll find me. And
Mm.
I'm also on TikTok under the exact same name. I'm slowly starting to get into the habit of actually putting stuff up and like recording my dancing, which is something that like again ADHD struggles. I forget a lot of times. I'll be like, oh, that was a hot clip. So that's where you can find me though. I am on Facebook as well, but really it's a gateway drug to my Instagram because like I never check my Facebook.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I'm the same way. Okay. So then that was where people can find you online. So now I know you're traveling this weekend to Colorado, but what other events are you going to for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year, uh, okay, so I'm that person who's got those prospective ones. Like I haven't finished up all the details, but I'm still probably gonna go. And then I have my set
Yeah.
ones.
Hmm.
I'm going to Eldorado, obviously, literally leave tomorrow morning. I will be at Northwest Balboa Fest up here in Seattle, which everyone should go to. It's fun.
Hmm.
Then we're into what? August?
Hmm.
August, I actually think I'm not traveling. So August is my birthday month, and I expected to go and party for myself. But I'm going to be at Camp Hollywood for tradition, California tradition.
Hmm.
Then I'm going to be September. Dear Lord, we're talking all the way out. September, I believe I'm going to be either at Lindy on the Rocks or Great Lakes Balboa Escape. Then at that point, I might be at the old school in Madrid if I can get all my ducks in a row. And then I might try to hit I Heart Balboa. See, this is why you ask
Hi.
the question. And then I'm gonna be possibly at I won't be anywhere for November, and then I'm gonna be at Lindy Focus. And then I have a
Nice.
burlesque show up here in Seattle.
Nice. Winning, winning. Okay. So here's the last question. So this is the last question that I ask all of my guests. All the listeners already know. But the question is, what is a message you want to leave for any swing dancers that are listening?
Hmm. I would say learn the dance, learn its history, learn the music, learn its history, and then learn you and express those things through your voice. It's good to know all of our rules. It's good to know the history, to respect where everything came from. But all the things you should create, I want them to come from you being inspired by all these things, not somebody else, not a different voice. There's room in this dance for all of our voices and all of our expressions. We just have to really try to do it. It's not always going to work, and it's not always going to be great. There will be ups and downs and lefts and rights, but just keeping that your north star is dancing this and being this like yourself.
The eloquence. Absolutely wonderful. Well, that was a wonderful note to end on. Lisa, thank you so much, dear friend, for being here. Um,
I will see you at Camp Hollywood probably.
yes, maybe before then. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I like Seattle. Maybe I'll visit.
I'm
Mel
just saying,
said I could
it's a
stay with
busy
him.
time of the year. It's gaslighting season.
Hey.
It pretends
All
it's
right.
great.
Now, everyone else, thank you so much for staying with us till the end. If you're listening to us on Spotify, don't forget to subscribe because you might get the episodes early, such as Tuesday night. So, highly suggest you subscribe. Everyone else, we will see you all next time. Bye. Thank you so much for lending us your ears on the SoCal Summer Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're looking forward to putting out some great episodes for you, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.